Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wishbone Football. I am Chad, and welcome into episode 1.12, my look at the 2014 college football playoff. I really wanted to, like I said last week, spend some time breaking out exactly what the schedule could look like with respect to a 2014 CFP. And the reason I wanted to do that is because right now, though, now we are by no means anywhere close to making this decision, of course, unless the SEC and Greg Sankey, commissioner, just magically makes an announcement one day and says, the SEC is on board. We have been told that there is a lot more money involved, and all of a sudden they're on board. Then I think mountains would be moved for that to take place. In all honesty, because once you get to a point where the SEC and the Big Ten are both on board, then I think college football will just sort of follow suit after that. But before we jump into that, there was a few things that I wanted to talk about first. Um, the first being the Myles Garrett trade. I think this is actually a win-win for both teams, if that makes sense. The Rams get exactly who they need and who they think is going to be a game wrecker for them in late in the season, in the playoffs. Like this is a Super Bowl winning move right here. And he's already under contract. So Cleveland suspiciously just sort of pushed some guarantees down the road, kick that can down the road a little bit. And they said it. Cleveland was always in the position to say, no, it's not because we're going to trade Myles Garrett. And lo and behold, Myles Garrett was traded. So let's get into the trade itself. So the the Cleveland Browns are only sending Myles Garrett to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are sending Jared Verse, their first round selection in 2027, their second round selection in 2028, and their third round selection in 2029. But that's a price tag. And the reason I'm going to start from, I've already kind of went into the Rams on this with respect to Super Bowl aspirations. Matt Stafford conveniently signed in a 1-year extension, maybe two. I forget on what that was, but they're going for the Super Bowl. If it's not this year, it'll be in next season, the 2027 season. But the reason I love this move for Cleveland is because they are getting a very young and an excellent defensive end in Jared Verse. Like this, Jared Verse cannot sort of be overshadowed in this trade at all, because it shows that Cleveland did not just want draft picks, did not want to just keep kicking this can down the road into the future with more draft picks. They've done that. They continue to do that already. And what it tells me is that they're not ready to just give up. They don't have Super Bowl aspirations, but they are ready to start competing, I would say in 2027, because they're now going to be holding 2 first round picks in 2027. And everyone, myself included, already knows how hot this 2027 draft is going to be. You're talking about probably 3 elite quarterbacks going in the first 5 picks of the draft. I really don't want to overstate or understate how elite this upcoming 2027 draft is going to be. I think it, it's going to put food on the table for a lot of analysts, if that makes sense. A lot of people are going to be really dissecting this a whole lot after we get done with the college football season and the NFL season, and then we get into the draft. I mean, really, I'm already into the draft by the time December rolls around, right about the time the postseason picks up in college and NFL. I'm already kind of getting giddy about the draft, if that makes sense. But there is one other thing that I want to highlight with respect to the the draft picks that the Browns got back. And that is the 3rd round in 2029. What this condition, it was a conditional pick, I should say. And the condition of this pick is that in the event Myles Garrett is traded back to anyone in the AFC North, that 3rd round pick becomes a 1st round pick in 2029. So I absolutely love this. Like, is this the best thing that the Cleveland Browns have done as an organization in the last 15 years? Was it trading away Myles Garrett? Honestly. So we know the 1st round selection and the 2nd round selection, 27 and 28, but they're going to be sort of doing a retool, I will say, in Los Angeles come 2029, after, or even 2028, after Matt Stafford is gone. You've probably got some contracts that are coming up, guys you don't want to retain again. And what this does is it essentially is protection for the Browns to keep Myles Garrett back out of the AFC North within the next 3 years, which is incredible. I think that might be my favorite part of this entire compensation package that the Browns got for Myles Garrett. It was initially reported by Mary Kay Cabot, who is a longtime beat reporter for the Cleveland Browns, and it's like, I can't understate how awesome this is. Like, I am giddy about what the Cleveland Browns are doing. It's incredible. I mean, as you may know, like, I reside here in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And so, like, I'm a lifelong Bills fan, but I've always kind of had a side eye looking at Cleveland Browns. They're always a team that I'm rooting for, and you always want to see them do well. And whenever, like, draft night, we'll say it as an example. Like, when they're on the clock, I'm in. Like, what are they doing? Like, I want to see them do well. They're always, because I see Buffalo and Cleveland as sort of similar cities, if that makes sense. And they're always one that I'm very excited to see what they're doing. How can we, like, I just love them. I just love the Cleveland Browns. As long as they're not playing the Buffalo Bills, of course. Of course. But I mean, I love that city. I love visiting that city. And actually that they Browns and Bills play a preseason game this year in Cleveland. And as many as you as everyone should know, the Bills built a new stadium, and preseason they have 2 home preseason games this year. Tickets are more expensive for preseason in the new stadium than what it was last year in the old stadium. And it's just wild to think. So I've got a 7-year-old son, and he's never seen a live football game. So I've always wanted to take him to, especially a preseason game in Buffalo. What I mean, what's on the table that I'm going to be looking into is why don't we drive 4 hours down the road to Cleveland? See Buffalo on the road in Cleveland in preseason in August too. You're in shorts. You're enjoying a nice cold Bud Light. Nothing wrong with a family trip down to Cleveland this August. So that's my take on the whole Myles Garrett trade. I actually probably like it more for the Browns than I do the Rams ultimately, because how much the Rams gave up. Like, come on. First, second, and a third and verse. So ultimately, I'm going to give the nod to the Cleveland Browns. I think they won this trade, and I think that will show us in the next 2 years. I mean, a third round in 2029, I'm not going to hold myself to, but going into what is widely known as the hottest draft in at least 10 years in 2027, the Browns are now holding 2 first-round picks. So it's definitely something that shouldn't be overlooked, I would say, in the grades that are given out with this trade. Now, there is one other thing I wanted to mention about this trade before we move on, and this is actually coming from Lindsay Rhodes from Sumer Sports. They are basically like a analytics for football, and she tweeted out 2 screenshots, and one of them, the first screenshot says 2.54 seconds average time to pressure, and their pressure rate broken down overall is 15.5%, on blitzes 10.3%, and on stunts 18.4%. So that's the first one. The second one, average time to pressure is 2.55 seconds. Overall, 16.5. On blitzes, 13.8%. And on stunts, 20.6%. Now, the headline of this tweet says, pressure data coming from 2025. One of these is Myles Garrett. One is Jared Verse. Yeah. So I think what we're looking at here is the Browns actually got, I don't want to say just as an elite player as Myles Garrett, because that's I think putting the bar too high for Jared Verse. But you're getting essentially his replacement in Myles Garrett's replacement in Jared Verse. Because like you look at those numbers, and one is getting better pressure overall, but one is doing it a split second faster. I mean, 2.54 to 2.55 seconds. Yeah, average time to pressure. I mean, that's incredible. That's what Aaron Rodgers wants to have all of his passes out this year in Pittsburgh. That's how quickly he wants to be getting that ball in. So I think it's interesting when you actually look at the numbers on it. Who is who, right? And she doesn't. The best part about Lindsay Rhodes' tweet is she doesn't tell us. Maybe that'll be a DM I ask her and say, can you give us the answer for the question or the riddle you provided to us? And tonight, I'm recording this June 6th. I'm late. I wanted this out Thursday, but life happens sometimes. So I'm going to tweet that out probably tonight, if not tomorrow, Sunday morning. Tomorrow being June 7th. So the next thing I wanted to get into was the AJ Brown trade. So I mean, we had two pretty massive trades in the last week in the NFL, and wanted to spend some time on it. So the AJ Brown trade, if you don't know, was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the New England Patriots. In exchange, the Eagles got a 2028 first round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick. So this is massive, especially being a Bills fan. I mean, I really see the Patriots kind of pushing things in. I really view this trade as a mirror image to what the Bills did in 19, bringing in Stephon Diggs like they did, trading that first round draft pick that turned into Justin Jefferson, but we won't get into that right now. But what's interesting is that the 2028 first round pick and not 2027. So two things I think are interesting there. It shows that New England is not an idiot when it comes to what the 2027 draft is going to be, but it also shows that the Eagles were willing to probably sacrifice might be a strong word, taking a 28 instead of a 27 first round pick in exchange for AJ Brown. But what it also shows, and what every NFL team tries to do with a new rookie quarterback that's still on a rookie quarterback deal at a measly $50 million or whatever it is that you bring in guys that you can pay now, because your contract and your depth chart when it comes to your salary cap is going to look a whole lot different when you get to what will be 24, 25, 26, 27. So after the 27th season is when Drake May is going to be up for an extension. And I mean, barring something wild, I would expect that to happen, right? So really it shows that, yeah, like, look, we have this money now. Let's go kick the can out of Super Bowl. We were already there in year 2 with Drake May and year 1 with Mike Vrabel, which good for them. Wish it was the Bills, but not everyone can be happy in sports. We know that. So, AJ Brown traded to the New England Patriots. It's a good move for them. Don't wish the Patriots any success, but I do think it's a good move from an objective football position. It's the right move, I would say, as well. And finally, the last thing I wanted to get into before we dive headfirst in this 2014 CFP is Syracuse football and Wake Forest are playing a week 0 game in my backyard in Toronto. And I am so incredibly excited for this. I unfortunately have only been to a handful of college football games in my life. I won't really get into who they were or where they were, but I mean, based on where I live, I think you can put the pieces together. So it was announced. Actually, I think it was a couple of weeks now. Yeah, May 7th. A little bit late on this, a full month, but that's okay. 2027 game at Wake Forest, Syracuse at Wake Forest. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. This is a home game for Wake Forest in 2027. Week 0 at BMO Field in Toronto. And if anyone doesn't know, so that is where the Toronto MLS team plays currently. It's soccer and it's football. The Toronto Argonauts also play there, and actually, it's a host site for a World Cup. One match or two, I have no idea. I'm not a soccer fan until you get to this time of the year with the World Cup. But like I said, week 0, 2027, Syracuse, Wake Forest. I am so incredibly excited for that. I will be going, and actually probably would like to put together some sort of a group that would go. So if anyone is interested in that, send me a DM, send me an email. You can find my email on my Twitter account at WishboneFB is what that is. So finally, let's get into the main topic here tonight. So we know that this has been a highly tested subject over the last couple of weeks, the 2014 college football playoff. So right now, I wanted to kind of give you a bit of history on it before and how we've gotten to this point. Is we were at 4 for 8 years. We, I think it was in 2014 or 2015 that we started the 14, which was great. It gave us more college football, more playoffs. Everyone was excited. ESPN was probably making some money, and who doesn't love that? And so things have been good with that regard. Then we moved from 4 to 12. And we know what that schedule sort of looks like, which honestly is a bit of a shit show, if I can speak frankly. Because I'm looking at the 2026 college football playoff schedule. And because ESPN, well, I shouldn't say ESPN. It was the the college football playoff team social media team, whatever the hell you want to call them, released what the schedule will look like for us this year. So the first thing I want to note is that there are 38 days between the first college football game, December the 18th, and the national championship on January 25th. That is way too much time. And I think that the way we see the schedule now is probably how we can figure out how they're going to want to see the 2014 playoff schedule, assuming we get there, right? Like I said last week, we are just waiting for a joint statement between the SEC and the Big Ten. That's all we're waiting for, is to say, yeah, we're on board. The amount of money that we're going to be making each year is too much to pass up, and let's go our respective conferences. As silly as that sounds, that's how it's going to shake out. But what I wanted to take you through is first the 2026 CFP. I'm sorry, the 2027 CFP National Championship schedule, how it will look with the 12 teams, and where I think we can be sort of sliding in a 2014, if that makes sense. So first we'll get into championship weekend. So we know that, as I'll assume that there's a Friday game. So I'll say the week of December the 1st. So the 1st through the 5th, that will be considered conference championship weekend. But then we have a week off for some stupid reason. So our first round of games are not going to be starting until the following week, the December 18th, the Friday night. And so you have one game Friday night, a litany of games Saturday, noon, 3:30, 7:30. And then we fast forward to the quarters. So the quarters are going to be played December 30th, which falls on a Wednesday, and then 3 games on January the 1st, which still is puzzling to me, because why are we playing the Fiesta Bowl on the 30th? Why is that not New Year's Eve? Like, we got the entire bowl schedule. Like, why is there a day between? Why are we playing games on a Wednesday for the college football playoffs? That needs to be New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. No questions asked. That is a hard line for me. And then we fast forward another 2 weeks to the semifinals, which isn't until January 14th and January 15th. And again, I am a little taken back, and I'm a little thrown off by that, as crazy as that sounds, because we're now doing games on a Thursday and a Friday for the semifinals, which is obviously not to try and butt heads with the NFL with the playoffs, but it's the playoffs. You need to be putting these games in prime time. A Thursday night game at 7:30 is not it's prime time, but it's not college football prime time. I want to see the semifinals played the week before the 9th on a Saturday. I don't care if college football is going up against the NFL. People are going to make a decision, and you have to go on with that. Look, give you a perfect example. The 2026 NHL final and the 2026 NBA finals went basically head to head almost every night and are still continuing on. People will make a decision. You cannot be the one who is folding and moving your semifinal college football playoff games to a Thursday and a Friday night because you don't want to go against the NFL. I understand it's the NFL, but you should not be going this late into the season. Like, we are doing a 12-team college football playoff, and the national championship game is not till the 25th of January. How wild is that? And that's another thing that I want to say. We should not be doing these games on a Monday night. These need to be played at 8:30 on a Saturday night, no questions asked. I don't care if you are going up against the NFL. You are the national championship game for college football. You deserve to play on a Saturday night at 8:30. Do you want to know why? Because you lose people on a Monday night. I said it. It's not that hard to figure out. Yeah, ratings are good until they're not. We're pouring so much money and so much thought into what is going on, but why aren't we playing these games on a Saturday? That's what college football is all about. We play college football on Saturdays. Yeah, we like to sprinkle in our actions and our cool Friday night games, but it's Saturday. Saturday is when you play 98% of your games, and it needs to continue that way. We cannot just be rolling over because we're going up against the NFL. And I know that will scare ESPN and ABC and the CFP committee, but that is what needs to happen for us to move forward with this. So I've laid out what the 2027 CFP National Championship schedule looks like. Finishes in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, which is kind of cool. However, we are here tonight to do a 2014 breakout and see where that gets us. So I've got my calendar ready, and I am ready to break this down. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use what my dummy 2025 bracket would have looked like with a 2014 playoff. I sort of did this last week with who would play who, but I just sort of did it on the fly, as you guys could hear in the way I was counting. So I actually sort of drew it out and made a decision on who was where and what was going where. So your 2025 hypothetical 2014 playoff. Here we go, with dates and times and schools. So let me get to the important stuff here first. 8 teams get a bye. Okay? So it's the best 8 in the country. So here's who would have gotten a bye: Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. That is my 8 teams that would have gotten a bye this year. 2025. So they get a bye automatically. They are moving on to the second round. But in the first round, let me fill in when and where these games would have been played. So, as we know, with the 2025 schedule, we don't start games until the 18th. And that's garbage to me. So, our first round of games, which would be Arizona at South Carolina or Southern California, SC. That game would be played 3:30 Pacific in Southern California at SC's at SC. That would be our 17-16 matchup. The winner of that would move on to play Indiana at Indiana. Okay? Second matchup. JMU would travel to Tuscaloosa. That would be a 5:30 Eastern time game. And that would be on Saturday, December the 12th. Tulane would travel to Austin, Texas. And that would be an 8:30 Eastern game, also played on the 12th of December. Houston at BYU would be a 9:30 Eastern game at BYU. Michigan would travel to Utah for our 18-15 game. And that would be a 6:30 Eastern game on Saturday. Iowa would travel to Miami, our 23-10 matchup. And that would be at noon Eastern. Big noon game. Virginia would travel to Vanderbilt, 19-14 matchup. That would be at 2 p.m. Eastern. And finally, we would have Georgia Tech traveling to Notre Dame. And that would be our 5:30 or 6:30 Eastern game. So you'd have a full slate. Like, you would essentially become college basketball NCAA March Madness day one for a little while. It doesn't stretch out 12 consecutive hours of playing new games, but you get my point. So you would have 8 matchups, and each of those games would start basically an hour offsetting. So you'd go noon right until 8 p.m., assuming Eastern time, of course, and you spread them out. And that is what college football is all about. You're putting a ton of games on, you're putting asses in seats, and everyone is hunkered down, just foaming at the mouth for 14 hours of college football that day. So That's just round one. So everything's great, right? So we have conference championship, which is still taking place. December 12th would be our first round. And then December 19th, a week later, would be our second round. And again, we would still be on campus. Did you hear that? That's our main focus, right? Is we don't need to watch Tulane and Texas play at the Georgia Dome or at AT&T at Jerry World at AT&T Stadium. We don't need that. We want to have a camera walking around the tailgate outside of DKR in Austin, Texas, when they are hosting Tulane. And the way it would have worked out in 2025 is the winner of Tulane, Texas, actually would have went on to play Texas Tech. Pause for dramatic effect. But anyway, we're moving on. Second round. See, look at how quickly we can move this thing along. If the CFP wants a scheduler, I am available. Slide into those DM CFP or NCAA. I am here. I can be hired for the right salary, of course, moving expenses, of course. But we're already into the second round, and we're still on campus. Remember, guys. So we would have 8 games on campus for round 2, and that would be set December the 19th. Same layout as week 1. We're going noon until 8:30 Eastern, an hour apart. You're getting all of the football you could ever want in your life. You're getting it December the 5th with conference championship weekend. You're getting it December 12th for the first round, and you're getting it December 19th with the second round. Okay? So we're here. We have eliminated our first 8 teams. Sorry for those teams who have not moved on. And now we're playing a game a week later. Who can imagine that we're playing a football game a week later after we just played one? Arkansas. I'm still bitter about last week, but we're moving on. Okay? So everyone close their eyes with me. We're on campus. You can hear it. You can feel it. Beer is colder. And December the 19th, we are playing the second round of the 24 teams college football playoff. Okay? We're happy. After that, we take a week off because we're not the NFL. We don't need to play goddamn football games on Christmas Day or the day after that week. Okay? So we get a week off. You go 2 rounds, you get a week off for Christmas, but then we're right back at it. We are right back at it with the quarterfinals. Are we calling it the quarters? I guess we'll call it the quarters. December 31st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl would not be played on December 30th. In my scheduling mock-up, we would be playing it on New Year's Eve, as we should, because we're coming off of a week off. So we can go to Thursday, not Wednesday. That's psychotic. So we go Thursday, December 31st, one night game, 7:30. And then we go 3 games on the 27th. On the January 1st. Okay? Just like how we laid out here. And did you see what I did there? We have cohesion. in what is taking place here. So, with a 2014 playoff schedule, we have the CFP quarters taking place at the same time as a 12-team college football playoff quarters. Can you imagine the atrocity? No, because we can understand how much time we need between games. We need a week, and that's it. We don't do anything dumb with a Saturday play Thursday in the playoffs. You play Saturday or Friday if you get extra time off. And that's what we have with the quarters. So you go Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, 3 games January 1st. And we're back on schedule. However, semifinals, I repeat, I would not be waiting until January the 14th, 2027 to play these quarters. We would be playing the following weekend, Saturday, January the 9th. We would be having our semifinal games. So we would be looking at a game at 3:30 and 8:30. Saturday, January 9th. And then guess what? I'm going to do something crazy. Because we do enjoy some time off. I'm not saying that we should do this, but I'm just leaving open a sliver of possibility that it makes sense. So if it made sense, should we be taking a week off in the run-up to the college football playoffs? He said it. Yeah, I said it. Should we be mimicking the Super Bowl? Should we be getting these boys ready to play football like they will in the NFL? And the answer is yes. I don't care if you are the Arkansas, whoever it was, assistant chancellor, complaining about your schedule. We should be getting these boys ready to play on Sunday. I said it last week. I'll say it again. So when the 2 teams that have earned the right to play in the college football championship, I believe that they deserve a week off between the semis. Give them a week off, and then we play this college football playoff. But I'm not doing it on January the 25th on a Monday. That is absurd, and that needs to stop. I am doing it 8:30 Eastern, Saturday, January 23rd. I will take questions. Oh, thank you. There are none. Because that is the way that a schedule needs to be laid out for a 2014 CFP to work. We need to play back-to-back weeks in round 1 and round 2 and round 3 and round 4 for this to make sense. So we're not wasting so much time between rounds. And another thing that I need to say is we absolutely cannot give up a college football, or I'm sorry, the conference championship. They are too valuable to each conference. Because if we give that up, then what's the point? Honestly, we're just going to grab the top 8 and say, you guys get a bye. Congratulations. But if Georgia beats Texas this year and is the 3rd seed and based on strength of schedule, Texas finishes 4th and still gets a bye. There needs to be some division there with how we're treating the how we're treating and how we're seeing the conference championships. Because I sure let's take the Big Ten and the SEC for example in this scenario. So Georgia, Texas play for the SEC championship. Georgia wins, they get the 1 seed. They go undefeated, beat Texas, blah blah blah. Kirby Smart's genius, but they get the 1 seed. But Texas gets the 4 seed and still gets a bye. And in the Big Ten, Ohio State beats Michigan for the Big Ten championship. And Ohio State is 2 and Michigan is 7, but still get a bye. There has to be some sort of separation there, because at the end of it, are we just going to see in the 8 teams that would ultimately have a bye, are we going to see 4 SEC teams, 3 Big Ten teams, and maybe a Clemson? Like, really, is that the way it's going to be? Like, there has to be some sort of separation with conference championships, and that's why we can't lose it. And as you can see with my schedule, it can still be done. Like, we shouldn't be thinking that we have to give these up to get to 24. And I think that's my main takeaway on this is I know it's not definite. We're still walking around the old car, kicking the tires to see if anything shakes loose and upsets us in any way. And for us to find a reason not to do this. But it's the one thing that is really stuck in my craw about why we shouldn't do this. Because if we're doing this and giving up conference championships, that's going to change everything. Like, that's you might as well fold the SEC and the Big Ten together and say, hey, we are the NFL squared now. We are going to be elite teams, two elite conferences rolled into one. We are going to have an East and West, and we're going to have divisions. You might as well just go and do that right now. Actually, that might be a cool working show to talk about, is what that would look like. Big Ten and the SEC be a single semi-professional football league. You'd have an East and a West, 3 divisions in each, based on region and based on geography and distance. I'm going to write that down. So we can do it. I just laid it out for you in using the 2025 teams in the 2026 calendar. It can be done. And actually, I can get a 24 team college football playoff done 2 days earlier, because we don't need it to end on Mondays. It's as simple as that. It's beyond frustrating that it's on a Monday now, and I really don't see how and why it's necessary. Oh, I don't want to go up against the NFL. I get that, but people are going to make their choices. You can't assume that everyone that watches college football is an NFL fan. And you can't be that turtle who is just turtling all the time. So, guys, that wraps it up for me here on episode 12. I wanted to give you more than I did last week on the everything that's going on right now with the expansion of college football and the playoff specifically. We still have that bill that everyone is kicking around, seems to love, seems to not love, whatever. But yeah, we'll leave it here. Episode 12. Yeah, 12. Can you believe it? My deep dive into the 2014 playoffs, possible college football 2014 playoffs. But yeah, like I've said before, I love doing this. I got really fired up for this one. Hence why we are sitting at 56 minutes and can't seem to shut up. So I'll do that now. I want to thank everyone. Thank you for giving me a listen. Thank you for giving me a follow. You can find me on Twitter at WishboneFB and on Instagram at WishboneChad. And give me a follow. Send me some questions. Reach out, please. So, I am Chad, and this is Wishbone Football. Thank you.